Remember I talked about the spare earlier? Oh well.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and welcome to Season 4 of the Bug Out Boys. I'm Grimm, and you might think that I'm all alone, and right now I am. But, am I going to be for very long? You see, all the previous episodes, we have been under the assumption that we would be able to get together and bug out together. And to be honest with you, that's not really realistic. Depending on the event of why you're bugging out, you may not be able to do that. One of you is probably going to get to at least the trailhead or the possible bug out location before the others. So, we have to give that a try. So I'm heading out alone, and Ole Grizz is going to show up sometime. Don't know when. Could be tonight, could be tomorrow, could be never. And that's a whole nother situation. So that puts a lot of emphasis on what I'm about to do, because I need to show Ole Grizz where I'm going. Or, you know, where in here did I go to bug out to? Because we might have a designated trail to start off in, but the actual spot, we don't know. So I'm going to have to leave clues that only Ole Grizz will be able to find. Because you can't just leave little orange or red blazes everywhere, because anybody else will be able to find that. So join us on this new Bug Out Boys adventure. I think this is where I'm going to go into the bush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make what's known as a cairn. And cairns are used a lot of times to blaze a trail, but it's not going to be that conspicuous. But more than likely anybody who sees that, it's just going to be another stack of rocks. And for good measure, a strategically placed stick for the direction. So I ventured into the woods just a little bit, and I can still see the cairn that I made. It's in between those two trees. And that's important, because you never want to leave a marker further away than you can see the one behind you. Otherwise, whoever is following that trail could get off the trail and get lost. And Ole Grizz knows that if it's on that side of the trail, that's the direction that I went to the bush. But we communicated that ahead of time, and he knows what to look for. Cairns and other sort of things that I'm going to be using so he can find me, but nobody else can. I didn't blaze. I didn't use my tomahawk to mark up the bark of any trees. I did that for two reasons. One, this is an exercise, and I don't like to mess up the forest if I can. But also second, a lot of people know to look for that, whereas what I've done, it's a little bit inconspicuous. And if you also notice, I didn't show you. So maybe Ole Grizz will show you, because he also has a camera. This will be home. There's a lot of thick brush, so even though there's no more leaves, that will block the view of our hammocks and of the fire at nighttime. So the hammock is set up, but only just because it's getting colder. And one of the things that I remembered as my hands started getting numb is that when it's really cold, get a fire started first, then set up your shelter, because you can always warm up your hands by fire. So I want to fire fast. So I've already prepared my typical lean-to configuration, and I found some punky wood while I was on the trail, so always grabbing some tinder material, fire material while you're on the way out. But what I'm going to use is my improved magnesium bar. It's improved because underneath this Ranger band is a little drilled compartment, and I'm just going to pour this wonderful magnesium dust out. Here we go. And we have fire. Oh, it feels good already. And if you want to know how to make an improved magnesium bar, check out the link that's going to be popping up for the Pioneer Prep improved magnesium bar. Well, right about now, I would usually do a conflicted card. But seeing as I am hopeful that Ole Grizz will make it out tomorrow, because I'm sure he's not going to come tonight, it'd be foolhardy to try and find those markers in the dark, I think I'll wait for him. Well, I enjoyed the fire, made some food, and it's always good to eat shortly before you turn in for the night, because your stomach, digesting all that food, turns into a little bit of a furnace and helps keep you warm at night. And speaking of warm, I decided to try something a little bit different. That's right, it's my canteen. What I did is I boiled some water in my cup, poured the boiling water in the canteen, sealed it up nice and tight, and then threw it specifically into the foot of my sleeping bag and my hammock so it could pre-warm everything for me, and it is doing a mighty fine job. Now I just have it sitting there, and I'm just moving around, kind of like a hot rock, but since I couldn't find any rocks, this is doing just fine. So I think I'm going to enjoy a nice warm slumber this evening. Good night. Well, it's a nice brisk morning on day 2. Had to start a whole new fire. Coals were long dead because I went to bed early. But now I'm just going to heat up some breakfast, keep an ear out for Ole Grizz. Possibly a little bit of smoke in my fire will encourage him that he's on the right track. Hopefully my markers will do a good job. But when you are going to be at a location first and you're expecting the rest of your bug out boys, your crew to get there, think about them. For example, I was able to find a spot, but I need to make sure there's a spot for Ole Grizz, which there is. Found 2 trees from just nearby. So think about that, because if you're a hammocker, well, you don't need to worry about level ground, but if you got a tenter with you, well, then you need to look for some level ground for them. It's only fair.
Well, Ole Grizz here. Trying it again, didn't work the first time. New bug out, boys. A bit of a different adventure. Grimm came out here yesterday, out into the wilds of who knows where. I've got to find Grimm, and that's going to be the part of the adventure. So come with me and I'll see what I can do.
While I'm waiting for Ole Grizz to get here, I've been collecting firewood and processing it with my Shogun tomahawk. And you've probably seen me use a lot, processing, chopping, and of course hammering as well. But if you want to know my full review of the CRKT Woods Shogun Tomahawk, check out the link that's going to be popping up in the corner and give that a look-see and a like.
thought came to mind as I've been strolling along here is one can get to the place of despair when they don't see anything. I'm not there yet.
Judging by the sun and a watch, it's a little past noon, and still no Ole Grizz. So I guess he got a little bit of a late start, and hopefully it's not the fact that he can't find the markers. While I wait, I have lunch. That is an acorn weevil. Well, specifically the larva of an acorn weevil. Tiny little guy, so you definitely would have to find a whole bunch of them, but actually I'm not even tasting a thing. Police, got to show you acorn weevil and show you that they're edible. Oh, I'm stuffed. I'm stuffed. Don't worry about me. I'm good. I'm good.
Remember I talked about despair earlier? Oh well. Old Grizz here is starting to get a little bit in despair. It's I think it's 2 o'clock. I got basically 2 hours, which is roughly what it's taken me to get here, of daylight left. There's the cairn and the stick pointing in the direction to go. There's the TP, I think, and then the stick, and then there's the next TP. Into the woods I go.
Well, I was about to make dinner, but I think I hear Ole Grizz. But I'm not positive, so I'm not going to yell out, because if it isn't him, I don't want anybody to know that I'm here, and I'm going to have to snuff out this fire.
I think it's telling me to go to the right.
Yeah, it's Ole Grizz. It's hard to miss that big old blue bag on top. Hey, Ole Grizz!
I hear somebody. I wonder if it's Grimm, or if it's the big bad wolf.
And while I'm using Mon Nature to boil up my water, Ole Grizz is not. But hey, we've already talked about this. There's pluses and minuses to both sides. Bread if you want. Oh, even brought bread. Bread.
Baked it this morning.
Fresh baked Ole Grizz bread from this morning.
Right.
Well, this isn't even bugging out anymore. And people wonder why I take Ole Grizz out all the time with me. Shh. Don't tell him about it. Well, food is done. Gonna be munching on that shortly, but first, it is conflicted card time. So the situation is as such. You see a wave of men in orange inmate suits walking down the street towards your home. They have pipes and makeshift clubs in their hands, but they do not seem to be breaking into any homes or bothering anyone. At this distance, you could take most of them out with your AR-10. And once they get close, you'll be overwhelmed if they try to jump you. Do you take the chance and let them pass, or do you start shooting people that have done nothing to you? Ole Grizz, you start out this one first. I normally take the lead. It's your turn.
All right, Graham. I would, since they're not doing anything,
Right.
I would choose to not shoot anybody. Because if I shot somebody, they would start doing something.
It's
for
true.
Sure. So I would not aggravate them by, standing out there with my gun or whatever and whatnot, and hope for the best.
So ultimately, you would not.
I would not.
You would not. All right. Well, my turn. The gut reaction is they're wearing inmate suits, so they have clearly done something wrong at some point in time, and maybe not worth having around anyway. That's my gut. But I think there's only so many rounds when something like this happens, and those rounds could be used in an actual hostile situation where for a fact they are trying to take something from you and possibly try and kill you. So that's what Ole Grizz thinks. That's what I think. And now it's up to you. So leave your comments down below, and we want to hear them. And now I can finally take a bite of my food.
Well, first time you ever did see Ole Grizz in his hammock. Yeah. Hopefully I won't freeze to death tonight, and I'll be able to walk out of here tomorrow. Keep bugging out, keep learning, and talk to you tomorrow.
How the weather doth change up in the mountains. There's Ole Grizz. Never leaves home without his coffee. And here I am, on day 3. Just gonna get some warm liquid in our bodies, give us that charge to get on out of here, make the camp disappear. I think that this was ultimately a success. Ole Grizz found me. A couple things that we could have done better. I think I should not have stayed at camp not knowing when Ole Grizz here, because you're not going to know when your other partners are gonna get there. So rather than just stick by the camp the entire time, which I did, and wasted valuable daylight hours, I mean, I was gathering wood and things like that, but I could have been getting more water, doing a recon, and then also, though we did communicate about what the markers would look like, we didn't communicate some sort of signal. Because I didn't know that it was Ole Grizz pushing his way through the woods. So when he was on the trail, we should have had some sort of sign, a call that he could do that I would know, oh, that's him. Because you never want to sneak up on somebody without letting yourself know out in the woods. The camp is no more. And what also going to be no more are all the markers. And no one will know that we were ever here. And you might be asking yourself, why do we subject ourselves to these winter temperatures, these winter bug outs?
I ask myself that all the time.
You still come along though. Well, the reason being is, first, you can never pick when you're going to bug out. You can't pick those perfect sunny 70-degree days to bug out. Disaster has no sense of time or weather or temperature. The other reason is that since this is practice for us, and in a sense we are breaking the bubble for our bodies. And if you want to know what I mean by breaking the bubble, check out the link that's going to be popping up for the bot, Breaking the Bubble. Because that's going to really help you out when things are really hot or when they're really cold. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this bug out adventure, and we hope we were able to help you realize that more than likely you're not going to be bugging out at the same time. You're going to have come from different areas, blockades, road closures, who knows. And then that moves right into the importance of having a plan.
And communicating that plan to all involved. Everybody on the same page. Know what the markers are going to be. Know what to look for.
Exactly. And then the responsibility of that first man out. You know, leaving clear markers, thinking about your fellow compatriots. Where are they going to sleep? Is there a water source nearby? So when they do get there, they can just set up and we can move forward from there.
And the second people coming out knowing to be very vigilant to look for those markers, because you don't want everybody to know about them.
And you don't want to miss the marker.
No, you don't want to
You don't miss the marker. So till then, we'll see you next time.